welcome to another instalment of Miss Thomas from Learning from Home. Today I've been asked to look at German society, so this is what I'm going to cover today through an 18-mark question. So our 18-mark question is: German people's lives got worse as a result of Nazi policy. How far do you agree? So our first stage is to bug our question. So B, box the command word. So my command word in this question is how far. It needs us to balance our answer, arguing for and against the question to get over 12 marks out of the 18. The U stands for underlining. Okay, so the key topics: people's lives got worse. So we need to argue people's lives got worse, but we also need to balance the fact that they got better. Okay, and then finally the G, we go back over the question. So we need to know, did people's lives get better or worse? That's what we're focusing on. So what I've done here is a for and against table. Now this is something you could do in your exam to plan your answer, which would really help you in the exam. I have gone over all of the different sections of society that you could possibly mention. You should learn them, but you don't need to write them all in an exam paper. So don't worry about the quantity of writing I've got here. It is very comprehensive, and you only need to write 4 points overall. So overall, my conclusion would argue that overall, everybody lost freedom under German lives and German society. It got worse. I'm going to focus on women first of all. So firstly, they were forced to give up their jobs. The idea under the Nazis was the 3K policy, that women should resort to the kitchen, to the church and to their children. So they wanted them out of the workplace so that they could be a more traditional role and domestic role in the home. Discrimination also increased. So when women did apply for jobs, they were often discriminated against, with men taking the priority and men being favoured in those job applications, even if the men's skills were less than the women's. Again, universities, so education for women also decreased during this time, as only 10% of spaces for universities were allocated to women. So we've got there a huge kind of regression under women, or for women, under Nazi Germany. I'm now going to move on to workers. So this would make up a second paragraph. Overall, there was a loss of jobs across the industries, with many having to face conscription. So the idea that government sign up people to work in the armed forces. Their main political party, who represent the workers, the SPD, are banned. So their political representation is lost. We also see the Nazis banning trade unions, so their rights as workers are not represented as much. And we've got the DAF controlling wages. Wages at this time remain incredibly low in comparison to the rest of the economy. I'm going to move on to farmers, a third group of people whose lives got worse. So Nazis set up what is known as the Reich-entailed farm law. Now that was a government-funded subsidy for Nazi farmers. However, if you were an independent farmer, banks refused to support you. So financially, you were much, much worse off. Another paragraph you could talk about, another group, is the youth. Their curriculum reduced, it narrowed significantly. So the Nazis rewrote the curriculum so that maths focused on how many Jews needed to be moved from country to country. It might be that the history curriculum only focused on the positives of Nazi Germany. Geography looked at the empire of Nazi Germany. So the curriculum and opportunities for education was significantly less. You also have no alternative clubs being set up at this time. So the opportunities for leisure outside of school were significantly reduced. And finally, Jews. Throughout our time period, the persecution, the anti-Semitism for Jews increases. You have the Nuremberg laws, which start off in about 1935 and move on, which means you can't sit on certain benches, you can't go to certain places in public, and ends and results in the Star of David being worn. And then Kristallnacht in 1938, the Night of Broken Glass, the first violence against the Jewish population in Nazi Germany. However, not everything got bad. So for women, okay, they not only have that regression, they also have time of progress. So the marriage loan is set up. So women who leave their workplace are given money to then get married and set up their home. So that's a positive for them. They are financially better off for being a married woman. The honour cross to the German mother, for every baby a woman produces, she doesn't have to pay back 250 Reichmarks of that loan. So she financially, again, is better off. But also there is a social honour within society. If you had 8 children, you would actually go and meet Hitler and be given a gold cross of honour for that. Many women actually supported the traditional views of the Nazis in terms of women. So the idea that women should be plain, they should wear traditional dress, they should not wear makeup, they should wear flat shoes, they shouldn't be seen smoking, all of those things most women in Nazi Germany actually did like. And although we've talked about those forcing up of jobs, actually employment rose during this time, which is a real positive. And in World War II, women are actually put into the factories to replace the men. So workers, again, we can counter-argue those negatives that I talked about a minute ago by looking at 6 million unemployed were put into work. Now, the Nazis were very clever at this by not counting your women and Jews being removed from the workforce. But what they did do was set up huge public works initiatives. So things like building the Autobahn was really quite key in getting lots of people into manual labour for 6 months, which would get them then working. The KDF, those cheap leisure activities, so holidays, you could get the Volkswagen Beetle and pay into a scheme, cruises, to give you those working incentives. And then the beauty of labour improved conditions as well. Finally, I'm going to look at youth. Now, some did enjoy the BDM, so that's your German League of Maidens, okay, and the HJ, the Hitler Youth, okay, HJ is what it would be known as in German. But they did enjoy some of that, and the holiday camps experiences and the outdoor nature of the Hitler Youth and German maids was really quite appreciated by many. So you've got a range of different paragraphs that you could talk about. Just to go over your structure very quickly, you don't need an introduction. You should aim for 4 PEE paragraphs. So this would be one, another, etc. However, it needs to be balanced. Whether you wanted to do 3 from one side, 1 from the other, or 2 from each side, that is entirely up to you. And then you need a conclusion, but only conclude your essay once you have given me 4 paragraphs that are balanced from the entire plan. I hope that helps. All the best.